Yeah, so I got a bit stuck on this one last time. I couldn't figure out how to proceed. Um, Now then. Must be missing something. You know, there's one there. And there's one there. And there's one there. So that there's one there. Can, hmm. Can this one ever be clear? Sorry, can this one ever be a mine, or is it forced to be clear? No, it isn't. Yeah, because we put two there. That one's clear. I think we tried all the combinations here before, and I couldn't see how to make progress. We need to use this 3 somehow. Because that implies one in here. Yeah, I think I just got completely stuck on this one. And I'm sure it's something really obvious. Is it that these two can't be mines? Because if, well, they can't both be, because then this 4 breaks. What if one of them is? Then both of these have to be, which means that is. Actually, yeah, what if it's specifically this one? Does that break anything? Because then that one has to be clear. There has to be one here. Which means that's one. And then this has to be one, because they're going to do one in there. So then for this 3, there has to be one here, one there. So that forces both of these to be clear as well. And then the third one of those is here, so that one is clear. And then there's one there. No, that does work. I feel like these two have to be empty. I'm going to just click one of them. Okay. I'm not sure if that was a lucky guess or if I was correct in my assumption that that had to be empty, but either way, we can make progress now. Those. So that one's empty. Altibago says, if I had to guess, it would be that in theme with the stream, any box that may or may not have been visible would be full of mines. Yes, that's a good point. Please be careful with any boxes you might find. You never know what they might contain. Okay, where do we go from here? We have to use the number in the corner now. We know that there's 6 mines remaining, and one of them is red. We know the red one is here. So in addition to that one, there's one there, and one there. So that's 4 in total. Which means, does that, can these both be mines, or does that break everything horribly? That would result in this. Okay, now that does actually work. And then the last one would be there. I think I can assume that this tile is always clear. Okay, well it was. So hopefully that was. The problem with some of the harder levels on this game is even if you don't lose, you don't always have the satisfaction of knowing, okay, did I actually make logical deductions or did I just get lucky? Sometimes you don't know that. But there we are. So we have completed all of these levels, just we made mistakes on some of them. Let's go on to 63. So this is a square grid with diagonally adjacent ones counting because of that symbol in the corner. Okay, that 1 plus this 3 means that it's those two and one of those. This 2 only sees two other mines. This could be those two. One of those, which means one of those. Oh, that 2 also only sees 2. Oh, and that. Okay. Every sort of end of this plus-shaped symbol has some kind of deduction we can make, and then I guess we have to just combine all of them together. Okay, well, because there's one here, there can only be one there. Can only be, because of that, there can only be one there. Because of that, there can only be one there. And because of that, there can only be one there. So there's 2 in here. There's 1 in there. There's 2 in here. There's 1 there. 1 there. There's 2 in here. But I don't see how to make progress on any of that stuff. This we can make progress on. We can do that. Now we don't know what to do here. I think this will come at the end when there'll either be 1 mine left in the dark blue or there'll be 2. And if there's 1 left, we put it here. And if there's 2 left, we put them here and here. But before then, we need to go somewhere else. I think we can say there's always 1 here, which means that's clear. And also that those are both mines. So with 1 here, and 2 here, that completes this 2. So it looks like that. We know there's 1 here, so we can do this, and then that, and then that. So that having a 4 here is good because now we know that there's only 1 in these cells. And I think there has to be 1 in those cells. Yeah, if all of these cells were empty, this 3 would require 3 mines like that. Now we've broken this 3 here. There's got to be 1 in here, which means that's empty. I feel like there's something else we can say about this area, but I'm not sure what it is. Let me just try something. If I put 1 in here and then this is blank, that means there's 1 here and that means there's 1 here, which means that actually that's empty. That's a mine. That's empty. Then there's 1 in here, which means that empty, and that is. So you get that arrangement. So the mines are this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. If I try to assume the opposite, like I assume that this is a mine and therefore this is empty, you still get that there's 1 here, but now this one is empty. If we assume that it's there, so that's empty, then that has to be 1. And That has to be empty. So yeah, everything works, but you end up with the exact opposite configuration. So either it goes like mine, empty, mine, or it is the exact opposite. So as soon as we know the state of any of these cells, we know the state of the other ones. How do we resolve that? Oh, do we resolve it because this breaks the 4? I think we resolve it because that breaks the 4, which means it has to be this configuration. If that's correct, then this is empty. Okay, I think it was that. So now we do whatever that other configuration was, which was this. There we go. And we have another thing in the corner here that we can't do yet. Okay, that one. Okay, this is all clearing up nicely. Okay, and then the final step is we still have 4 dark blue ones to place, and the only way we can place 4 is to put these in all the corners. Okay, that wasn't too bad. Continue. Okay, non-diagonally adjacent square level. So be prepared for me to misclick things. So for example, this one, it's talking about only horizontally and vertically adjacent cells, not diagonally. So this doesn't count as being next to this one. Only this does, which means that has to be a mine. Which means that column is already completed. So we can open up everything else in that column. There we go. There's only 2 things next to that. Okay. There is only one other blue square with a mine in it, according to the number in the corner. And it's got to be one of these to satisfy these ones. So every other one of these we can also click immediately. There we go. Use the white. This one and this one mean that there's one here and one here. That completes this 2. So we can open up everything else on this whole row. Okay, now we're starting to open up a lot of stuff. That's all forced. So because of this 2, there's got to be one here. And then because of this 2, there's got to be one here. And then this 3, we've got one here, there's going to be one here. And then because of this 4, we've got one here, there's going to be one here. That doesn't help though, because then we get to this 3 and we can't make any progress. What else can we do? Okay, over here. There's one next to this one, so one of these 2, and there's one next to this one, so one of those 2. Either way, that completes the 2. So none of these are mines. That's one, that's one. Okay. Okay, I think next we need to look at this column here with the 3 in it. We've already marked one mine in this column, so we've got 2 more. We're going to make 3 here, so it might look like you could have both of these 2. That would make 3 around here and 3 in the column. Then the rest of the column would be empty, and then this 4 would be broken because we can only put 3 around it. So there can't be 2 here. Can there be none here? Well, if there were none here, then there would have to be 2 here. That would have to be empty, meaning that would have to be a mine as previously established. That would have to be empty. Okay, that is actually still possible. I was hoping I could show there would only be 1 here and 1 here. Because that would imply 1 here and then the 3 would be complete. Okay, what else can we infer? This 4, we already established there was 1 here. That makes 3 out of 4 in this row. Can we prove there has to be another one? Not yet. We almost can. Again, if we knew there was only 1 here. If there was 1 here, there would have to be 1 here. And then that would complete the 4. Because there could only be 1 here. So 1, 2, and then there have to be 3. Can we actually use that? Because we know there's 1 there, we can prove there's not 2 there. Like, this is impossible. And this, yeah, and this is impossible. Okay, so yeah, there can't be 2 here, and there can't be 2 here. So there is in fact 1 there, and 1 there, and 1 there. And that implies 1 there. Which implies 1 there, which implies both there. Okay, I think we have, like, we know that one's empty, there's 2 there, there's 1 here, completing the 3, so we do that. 1 here implies 1 here, which implies 1 here. So 1, 2, 3, and then actually this one has to be a mine as well to complete this 4. Reveal those. And yeah, we said that one was also a mine. Because we know that that's a mine and that's a mine, and that completes the 4, there's nothing else on that row. So we can reveal those bits. Now what? Well, this is 5. There's 1 here and 1 here. Then we've got 3 more to place in this area. So it's either going to be 1 here and 2 here, or it's going to be 2 here and 1 here. If it's 2 there and 1 there, then this is empty. But if it's 1 here and 2 here, yeah, if it's 1 here and 2 here, this column still only has 2 in it, so we'd have to put another one in there to finish the column. But now this 4 is broken because there's 5, so that's impossible. So the only configuration that works is 2 there and 1 here. So we can now do stuff here. So yeah, we've got that is empty, that is empty, that. And we can sort of chain our way along this to get as far as there. So we still have 1 more to place in this bottom row. If we put it here and we know there's 1 there, that implies there's just 1 more around this 3. I think we have to start looking at this 6 now at the top, because we know there's 1 here, 1 here. So that's 3. There has to be at least 1 here, because this 3 can only have 2 up here. So that's 4. Yeah, we're going to do something with this 3. Matcha Catcher? Were you trying to post a link, Matcha? I think I had to turn off links at some point for non-VIPs. I sincerely apologise for that. If so, I'll see if I can turn them back on at some point. Yeah, well, I wish Twitch had a moderation setting where you were allowed to post links to... I wish you were allowed to post URLs on the twitch.tv domain, but then not any other domains. That's what I would like to be able to do. But I don't think that is an option. What's the thing to do links? Okay, there doesn't actually seem to be a specific setting for whether you can post links or not, so I'll have to look into that a bit more. I'm terribly sorry. I agree that people should be able to post clips. Thank you, T-Bago, for sharing it anyway. Give me 1 second. Oh right, it's just me hiding the boxes. Thank you, Matcha. Okay. Yeah, I think the key is going to be looking at this 6 and these two number 3s. This 3 already has a mine filled in next to it, and this 3 doesn't. So, first of all, if this was empty, then that would be impossible because you could only put 2 next to this 3. If we have 1 in here, then we'd need 1 here and 2 here. That would complete the 4, so then these would be empty. If we put 2 in here, there would be 1 here and none here. And then these would both have to be mines to complete the 4. That would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That would complete the 6. So these 2 would be empty. That would complete the 4. So these would be empty. The 3 would already be completed. That would force 2 here, which would break the 4. Okay, so this case is actually impossible. Following it through logically results in all of these being cleared, meaning the 3 has to put 2 in here, which breaks the 4. So the only case that actually works is to have exactly 1 mine there, which means that both of these are definitely mines. There is a mine here, and then this and this are free. We can do that. Then, because there's 1 here, that's not 1, so that is 1. That's clear. So now that we've placed 3 here and we know there's 1 here, that makes 4. These have both got to be mines to make up the 6. These 2 plus this one that we know is here somewhere, that completes this 3. So all of the other ones around this 3 are actually empty. And then we need to mark this one in the corner. And we're done. Oh dear, this is a big one. Okay, we could be here a while on this one. Let's see how we do. We have our diagonal adjacencies back, which is good because I can use a bit more of my Minesweeper muscle memory. Hello, Elfie. Welcome in. Thank you for redeeming Hairy Buttercup as your flower of the day. Matcha posted the clip on Discord. Thank you, Matcha. I do notice a couple of zeros, which allow us to immediately clear some mines. I have a feeling we're going to be starting at this end and slowly working our way around the entire shape. We can do that. Although then... one there, so one there, so that, and that. This 4... yeah, so the numbers on the side here, they do refer to the entire row. So this doesn't just mean there's 4 here, it means there's 4 in all of this. So we can't really use these numbers for anything helpful yet. Can we do anything with this? Actually, we can. We can say that. That's about all we can do there. Okay, where else do we make progress? Those. So those could still be mines. Can we reveal anything here? No, because it could be those two. Okay, we didn't get as far as I was hoping on that puzzle before we got stuck. Do we need to use any of the numbers at the top yet? Don't think so. Like these numbers are only 3s, but we don't know the position of 3 mines in that column yet. Can we infer something like if this is a mine, it breaks stuff? Because this would all be empty. Force 3 in there. Yeah, it doesn't actually break anything though. I must be missing something in this area, but I'm not sure I see what it is. Does this 2 help? Because it implies if we do that, then this is empty. But we could also do this. If we do that, then that's empty, and then right, okay, yeah. I think this is where we make progress. This configuration isn't possible for the 2 mines in this column because then this 3 would require us to put mines here and here, and now this 2 is broken. So we know that that's a mine. And then we know there's 1 there, meaning that there's 1 there. Actually, no, that doesn't help us make any more progress afterwards, though. We're obviously nowhere near finding 7 mines in that column. We prove that there's 1 there. If these are both empty, so that there's 2 there, this is all empty. This still works though, right? Yeah, that still works. Okay. I might have to skip this level and come back because I actually can't see how to progress. Let's see what 66 is like. Ooh, okay. Let's try 66 because it's a slightly more interesting design. octagons and squares. So in the middle here we have 2 adjacent to this central square. And only 1 adjacent to this. So we look at what basically this is not possible as the 2 that are adjacent to this 2. Every other combination is possible. Every other combination involves one of these 2 tiles apart from this combination. That would be the only way that there could be one here. Can we prove that that can't happen? Not. Well, that would make all of this empty. Can we prove that there's always 2 in this column? Out of these 3, because that would allow us to clear the rest of that column. How would there not be 2 in this column? It would the only way there could not be 2 in this column. Basically, there's going to be 2 of these and there's going to be 2 of these. So if we say, like for example, it's these 2 and these 2, so they're not sharing, then there's 2 in this column already. If we say that they share this one, then either the other one is here, or here, in which case there's 2 in that column, or they'd have to be here and here. So now these 2s are satisfied, but this 2 is broken. Now this 2 has 3. So out of these 3, there's always going to be 2 of them being mines, which means none of these other ones are mines. Now, does that help? There's just 1 here. And then there's 3. We can probably do something similar with this column. Because again, we know that this isn't possible. Which means we know that at least one of these is a mine. So if we can find one other mine in this column, we can clear out everything else. Here we've got a 2 and a 4. That doesn't force this one to be a mine because it could be like 1, 2, 3, 4, and that would work. And the little square ones don't count as being in these columns. These columns are only counting the octagonal tiles. Same thing here. Is there something we can infer in the middle? Right. There could be 1 here, then there could be 2 here. Then there would have to be 4 out of these 5, but it could be these 4. Like if we really want to avoid putting any mines in here, we can. At the moment, so we can't prove that there's a mine in there. And then here we could do something like this. If we did that, so 2 mines there would also force 2 mines here. Which would complete this 2. 2 mines here would force one of these. Yeah, that doesn't force anything. It could complete this too. Or it could complete that. No, actually it can't complete that too. Okay, those 2 force us to have that, which completes this 2. But not the vertical 2. Whereas this gave us hang on. This isn't possible, I think. If you try and do this, then yeah. If you try and put mines in here and here, you end up breaking everything else. This 1's got 2 around it, and the 2's got 3 around it. So that's not possible. So this has to be. Right, we finally marked a mine on this board after that much time. Then exactly one of these is, which means that one is. And then if it's this one, then it's that one. And this 2 is complete. If it's this one, then it's that one. And this 2 is also complete. So either way, that 2 is completed by one of these 2 mines, which means that this is again all empty. Because it's one of them, then it's not that one. Right, surely we can make progress now with all this stuff we've opened up. Okay, 3 out of these 4, meaning at least one of these. So it's those 2 and one of those, which means not that one. Okay, we finally resolved the center part. Oh, and now we've actually placed 2 mines in the central column as well, so we can uncover all of these. Okay, this 5. There's one here. I can't really see that. There's one here. I know I've marked it in white, but it's a mine. There's one here and one here. Which means that all 3 of these must be to finish off this 5. This 4. If it was these 2, that would complete the 2, which would break this other 2. But it can't be those 2. It's got to be that one and one of those 2. The other of those 2 has to be here, which means they're not there. That completes this 3, so now we uncover all of those. Something going on here, and I'm not quite sure what it is. Oh, the 5 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is done now. The 3 is done. Okay, that answers the question of what was going on there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so one of those 2. We're obviously nowhere near 5 of those. We don't have 2 of these yet. We don't have 2 of those yet. We don't have 5 of these. We do have 4 of them though. Okay, what else is going on down here? We do anything with this 4 and this 2? Yes, if this was a mine at the bottom here, there was 1 here, that would complete the 4. And then the 3 would also be completed. So that would force everything to look like that. That isn't actually a problem though. That's fine. So doesn't help. Oh, do we look at the blue number maybe? The blue number says there's 4 more light blue mines. And there's only 6 more light blue cells to choose from. We know there's at least 1 here. But there could be 2 there. Actually, yeah, this can't be empty because then the 5 only has 4 mines around it. If we put 1 mine in here, we have to fill in every one of these other ones. That completes this 3, so we'd have to do that. Then we'd have to fill in the 4 like that. So we've used both of these blue ones. So we've used 3 blue ones up here in total. If we were instead to use both of these, then we would have to fill in one of these and one of these, which means we could only fill in one of these. Can we fill in? Is it possible to fill in neither of these? I'm trying to figure out if this is forced to have at least 3 light blue ones up here. Hello to Colorama who says WTF. We're playing a game, Colorama, called Tametsi. This is a Minesweeper type game. So some of the cells are mines, the numbers tell you how many adjacent cells are mines, that sort of thing. It's a little different to your classic Minesweeper game because it's got funny shapes and colours and stuff going on as well. Hope you are having a good Friday, Colorama. Good to see you. Okay, yeah, it's impossible for this to be empty because now this is broken. So there's got to be at least 1 here and at least 1 here. I think there's got to be at least 3 there in total, which means there's going to be 1 there. But that doesn't actually help us at all. Let's look at something else. I think something to do with this 1 and the rest of this column is going to be the answer. Yeah, we can actually rule out using both of these. I didn't notice before. That completes this 3, which means these are all empty, which breaks this 3. So there can't possibly be 2 here. So this thing where we did 1 here, and then we were forced to use all of these, that's not possible. So if these can't be empty and this can't be just 1, then it has to be 2. So that's actually forced, believe it or not. Yeah, I'm just thinking about with this 2. As I say, you can't use both of these. So you can only use 1 of these. I'm thinking about this 2 and how it interacts with this column now. If these are both mines, then this is all going to be empty, and that's going to break the 3 because you'd have to use all 3 of these, and then the 1 is overloaded. So these can't both be mines. If we say that neither of them are mines, then we have to do this, and we've established that that's not possible. So if they can't both be mines, they can't neither be mines. Exactly one of them is a mine. And then with this 3, again, these can't both be mines because now this 2 has 3 next to it. These can't both be empty because now this 1 is overloaded. So these also have to have exactly 1 mine in them. So there's 1 here and there's 1 here, and that completes the 2. So we can uncover this square. Square? I mean octagon. We can uncover this octagon. We are really progressing slowly in this game now. And because we know there's exactly 1 here and there can only be 1 here, then to complete the 4 there has to be 1 there. We already know that there can only be one here. Otherwise the 3 is overloaded, so that has to be 1, which means that that's empty. That has to be 1. We might finally be making some progress. This 3 is now only surrounded by 3 empty tiles, so it will have to be mined. One of these, so not that one. Okay, looks like we are pretty much finishing up this area now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Therefore not that one. Therefore not that one. Still, we haven't completed the 4 in that column or the 5 in that column. So we do now know that there's only one light blue, so there's one there, which means there's one there. This 3 actually only, this 3 here actually only has 3 cells next to it. We probably should have marked that a while ago. So that plus 1 there means that's empty. This 3 is actually done now. Okay, this 5 has got 6 cells around it, so all but one of them are mines, but we don't know which one. We can do this row now because it's needs 2. Obviously, there's this one, and then this 1 tells us there's one of them, so not those. This 1 and this 4. Not quite. I thought we could fill all those in, but no. Are we at a point where 3 pinks remaining is useful? I think the answer is no, we're not. The most we can do is say, well, there's probably one there. 1, 2, 3, so one of those. This 2 is actually done now that we've marked that one. We can do that. Okay, now we look at this 4. If we complete this 4 by using both of these tiles and then that one being empty, this 3 is now done. So these would all have to be empty, and then that breaks this 2. So we can't do that. So we have to do this and then just use one of those. So there's one of those, there's this one, and then, so for this 3, we can only put in one more mine, and it has to be here because of the 2. So that's empty, that's a mine. And then there's one there and there's one there, basically. Because there's only one here, that's a mine. Right. Now, the point of marking this, it doesn't do anything directly, but it completes this row of 5. Means we can reveal those. We can now tidy up this corner. We need 4 in this row. We only have 3 at the moment. But that 3 is done. Right, and then we can do that. So now that finishes the 4 in that row. Okay, we're starting, everything's starting to fall into place. This 3 forces 1 there, so we do that. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We just complete that like that. There we go. Okay, now there's only 1 pink remaining. So we're only 1 out of these tiles. Suspect we'll be able to use that in a moment. Now what? Okay, the way that this 4 is arranged, we've got to fill in 2 out of these 3 cells. We can't fill in these 2 because then the 3 is finished and it breaks this 2. We have to fill in this and one other. One of those, which means this 2, we have to use that one as well. That's 4 out of the 5 marked. We're still not quite there. I wonder if number of purples is going to come into play to tell us whether this cell is a mine or not. There's still 6 purples on the board, and yeah, there are only 6 purple cells. There are 5 purple cells down here and 1 here, so they've all got to be mines. That was fun. Okay, we still only have marked 4 of those 5. What does marking these tell us? Tells us that only one of those is a mine, meaning that all of these must be. And okay, we didn't actually need the 4 at the top of that column because we completed the column before we even used it, but oh well. We didn't need that 2 either. I suppose maybe there's multiple ways to solve these, and so they give you extra information in case you need it. But we didn't need it. That one is done. So now, now there are only 3 mines left in total. One of which is in the pink area. Since this 5 is still here, we know there's got to be 1 here. We know there's got to be 1 here to complete the 4. And there's got to be 1 in here somewhere to complete all of those. The only way we can do all that with just 3 mines is for it to be this middle one. And then here, no, we've marked the cells that could possibly be the remaining 2 mines. We haven't marked these 3 little square cells, so we know those are all free. There's only 1 adjacent to here, then it's not that one. And if there's 2 adjacent to here, well, there's only 2 mines left, so that one is clear, that one is a mine, that one is a mine. We are done. Wow, okay. That was satisfying. See if we can get as far as puzzle 69 today. Maybe even puzzle 70. Shame I got stuck on that one, but we can always come back to it. Next puzzle is called Diamond. Diagonals are adjacent on this one. So we can start with some normal-ish Minesweeper logic to clear this bit. Including that. I say normal-ish because normally you don't have edges on a Minesweeper board that are diagonal like this. But it still feels more normal. Okay, 4 in this column. One of them's there. One of them's there. One of them's there. And one of them's there. Okay. So we've accounted for the 4 mines. So we can reveal everything that hasn't got a line through it, which is those. What does that do for us? Not as much as I was hoping. Oh, we can now say that that one's a mine. We can do that. There we go. That's what I was missing. Okay, and one of those implies all of those are empty. Then we say, well, there's 1 here. And there's 1 here because of this 2. That means there can only be 1 here. But we've got to make this up to 2. So this one is actually forced to be a mine. Interesting how we sort of wrap the logic around this block of 2s here. On its own, none of those 2s actually tells us anything, but combined combining the information from all of them, it does actually tell us something. Okay, again, one here, so not that one. Need to put 3 into here. Only one of those can be. We've got 7 light blues left, and 5 of them are mines. Need to figure out which 5. Yeah, actually, that's an interesting way of looking at it. So, out of these 7, 5 of them are mines, which means rather than figuring out where the mines are, if we can figure out where the gaps are, that would be equivalent if we can find 2 gaps. And I think one of the gaps has to be here. Because if we assume that both of those are mines, like this, then those are all empty. And now this 4 is broken. So one of the gaps is here. So where is the other gap? And then everything else has to be filled in. Can these both be empty? At least one of those. Okay, if they were both empty, then these 2 would have to be mines. And then that one would be empty as well. Okay, that's interesting. They can't both be empty because these 2 being empty forces a third one to be empty. Which then breaks the assumption that those were the 2 empty ones. So actually we can say that there's exactly 1 mine there. And if there's exactly 1 there, there can be at most 1 there because of the 4 and the 2. So that one is empty. That one is a mine. And yeah, there's 1 here, 1 here. My brain is empty for sure. Is your brain adequately melted, Debago? I do promise a premium brain melting experience on this stream, so I hope you're getting your money's worth. No, we're actually making progress on this now, because we've marked one of these, meaning the other one is empty. And then, because we know there's 1 here, there's 1 here, now we just have to decide which of these 2 is the other empty one. But out of those, we can infer that those are empty. I suspect this is going to be a mine, but we don't actually know that yet. Oh yeah, we do. Okay. Yeah, this 3, if these 2 were both mines, that would break the 2. So there's 1 here, which means that that's a mine. Now we know there's 0 blues left, so that one is empty. Okay. 3 is actually completed. 1 here, 1 here, so nothing there. Also symmetrically on the other side, 1 here, therefore something there. I like it when the puzzle is symmetrical. Unfortunately, the whole puzzle is not symmetrical. That might be a bit easy. Just this little bit was symmetrical. Okay, why can I not solve this part yet? I know that there's 1 here, and also 1 here, and also 1 here, and also 1 here, and also 1 here. Actually, hang on. 1 here, 1 here, 1 here implies 1 here, I think, if I'm remembering how logic works, which implies not that one or that one. Okay, yeah, so we could actually do something. That's what we had to do. Yeah, that one has to be. At some point we need to think about the orangey brown ones. They have 6 remaining now. Okay, 4 out of these 5, and it can't be these 3, so it's got to be those 2 and 2 more, not that one. 1 out of those, so that one, and then 1 more. 1 of those, so not that one. Can't be those 2. Actually, no, it can be those 2. Sorry. I've just realised we actually have side numbers on. I didn't even see the side numbers before. So this 6 actually is telling us that there's 1 in here, which might be important. Okay, this 3 tells us there's 1 here, which completes that 3. So those are empty, which does this. Actually helps a lot. Kirchi side number. Is that another emote I'm not allowed to make, Teabagger? 2 here would break everything horribly because reasons. No. Okay. I was hoping to discover it broke everything horribly, but it seems to actually be working really well. Oh no, okay, it does break. It breaks up here. Wow, okay. Making an assumption down here breaks the puzzle up here. But yeah, it can't be these 2, which means it's that one, and then 1 of these. Which means it's 1 of those as well. Okay, then what? Oh, this is complete. Yeah, this is complete, so we can work from inside out to do that. This 5 is also now almost finished and tells us that there's 1 there. What about this top 5? There's 3 in that column so far, so it's telling us there's 2 more in this column. But there can only be 1 more in this column to complete this 3. So actually, yeah, that's what we were missing. We were not looking at this top 5 because there has to be 1 there because of the top 5. You can have that one. Not sure it's going to catch on though. Yeah, good point. To be honest, I don't think this game is that popular. It's just it's for low energy Emma streams, and today is very much a low energy Emma. So that's what we're getting today. Right, now that is done. So that one and 1 of them. Oh, and we said it was 1 of those, which means it's not that one. Okay, well, time is running out for us to use this orange clue. It says that 3 of the remaining oranges are mine, and we've only got 4 oranges remaining. And I think this bottom part is actually determined by whether the oranges are mine or not. In other words, there are 2 possible solutions to this area if you ignore the fact that 1 of the cells is coloured orange. So if we assume that this is empty, then the solution is that. And if we assume it's filled, then the solution is that and 1 of them. Actually, is that ambiguous? No, it's not ambiguous because we would reveal a cell there. Oh, hang on. No, the 2 is actually complete. Ah, okay. I see what's going on. The 2 is actually complete. Ah, yeah. We made a mistake here. Yeah, that cell, we should never have clicked that cell. Okay. Emma went wrong. I'm really sorry for going wrong. I accidentally marked that bottom cell, which I shouldn't have done. Oh well. Let's see if we can solve the rest of the puzzle. Something's going on up here. Yeah, if we solve this 4 by using both of those, then we actually break the 3. So there's only one of those is a mine, which means that's a mine. One of those, one of those, one of those, so not that one. Okay, yeah, there we go. Yeah, sorry, I kind of did some faulty logic down there. Okay, we're still not actually done though. So right now now we finally have to use the brown clue, so orangey brown. So there's one here and there's one here, and that completes the 3, which means that's not one. Because that's a 4, that means that's clear, that's a mine. Okay, and then yeah, the only way to use only 3 mines on the remaining cells would be to do that and that. Okay, we only made 1 mistake. Could be worse. I think you'll agree I reasoned my way through most of that puzzle. Ooh, hexagons! Our favourite shape is back. We have a 0. Means we could immediately clear a whole row. Okay. This whole thing is a long line of 2s with a 1 at the end. We must be able to do something with that information. We got this 1 here. If we were to assume that this was a mine, then these would be clear. Then that would imply these were both mines, which would imply these are both clear, which would imply these are both mines, and so on. You like make a chain all the way down until you get to here and it breaks because this there's a gap in the puzzle here. There's no tile here where there should be. The whole inference breaks if you do that, which means that this one is actually empty. And then, because that one's empty, now we say exactly one of these is a mine, exactly one of these is a mine. And we get a different inference all the way down. We say that exactly one of these all the way down until we get here. And then we say this has to be a mine. And then we actually get the same inference all the way down to the other end, which tells us that that one's empty. So that's an interesting start. Oops. Oh, Emma, you idiot. Okay, right. Pretend I didn't just misclick there. Nobody saw anything. We're starting again. Yeah, with that one. Okay, you saw nothing. I clicked the right buttons. Definitely didn't just right click instead of left click that cell. Emma is tired. Let's see if we can get through one without making any mistakes now. I see there's a lot of side numbers, which we're no doubt going to have to start using in a moment. Okay, we don't have 5 on that row yet. We actually do have 4 on this row, because there can only be 1 here, and there can only be 1 here. That makes the 4. So the rest of this is empty. And that's 1. Okay, one of them means that. 1 plus 4 means that, which means that. Okay, 5 in this row now. Oh, no, we actually can't do that just yet. Well, can we? Oh, we can actually, because there has to be 1 here and there has to be 1 here, so that's 5. So not that one. and that one and that one. That's 6 out of the 7. The 7th one is there. Okay, we definitely don't have 5 in that row though. We do not have 6 there. We don't have 6 there either. This is interesting actually. These two columns combined. Within these two, I suppose they're not columns because they're diagonal. Within these two diagonal columns, there are a total of 5 mines. There's one there, one there, one there, one there, one there. We've placed 3 out of 6 in that column, so there's 3 more to place in that column. We've placed 4 out of 6 in that column, there's 2 more in that column. So we know that there's 3 in here and 2 in here. We just don't know where. That might be important later. Can't do anything with that 3 yet. Can't do anything with that 3. We have 5 out of 7, 2 out of 5, 2 out of 5, 1 out of 3. Yeah, we don't seem to be able to use any of the yellow numbers at the moment, apart from this one, which we sort of did use. We have this purple 3 as well, telling me that only 3 of the purple cells are mines, but apart from knowing that there's one there, I don't see how that helps. Because the other ones could be anywhere. LT Bagger says, if Fleetwood Mac taught me anything, it's that you would never break the chain. Well, this is true. Oh, I see what we're missing. That meaning nothing there. Okay. I don't know if Fleetwood Mac ever played Minesweeper. Okay, we're slightly closer to solving the purples because now we know there has to be 1 purple here in addition to there being 1 purple here. If we find another place with a forced purple, we'll have placed all the purples. This 5 now has 4 and the 5th one is forced somewhere there. So that completes the 5. This now has 4, meaning that the 5th one is there, so that's not 1. Okay. That further restricts the purple, so there's a purple here, there's a purple here. As things stand, the last purple could be like there or something, we don't know yet. We're going to have to, I suspect we'll find that there's a purple in here or here, but we haven't established that yet. Okay, this 3, we've got 1 here, there must be another one here, but there could still be 2 there, and then these 2 be empty. We don't have that 5 yet. We can only account for 4 of them. We don't have that 5 yet. Definitely don't have those yet. We have 2 out of those 3. LT Bagger says it's one of life's great questions. Did Fleetwood Mac play Minesweeper? I don't think the song was written with Minesweeper in mind, but who knows? I think maybe this is where the purple number does come in. We've got to put a mine in one of these 2 spaces. If we put the mine in this space and not this space, then we have to spend 2 of the purples finishing off this 3. We would then have to spend another 2 purples finishing off this 5. But we can't spend 4 purples because there's only 3 left, so that doesn't work, so it's got to be here. There we go. And then that's empty. Okay. So we still don't know where the final purple was, but despite not knowing where the final purple was, we were still able to use the purple clues to make a deduction. 3, 4, 5, 6. One of those. This 3. No, still not. Okay. Feel a little bit stuck. What about this 5? 1, 2, 3, 4. Can these both be empty? Is that possible, or does that break something? That would force that, which would complete the 3. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so if we make these 2 empty, that forces 2 mines here, which breaks this 4. So those can't be empty. So there has to be a mine in there. If there's a mine in there, then that's accounted for all 5 on this row. So these 2 cells are empty. Okay. And then then what? Then something happens. Well, actually, if we know there's one there, and one there, and one there, then we actually know that this one is a mine. Which then we use with this 7, because the 7 is now complete, to uncover that one, which forces one there. Which completes that. Okay, so now we use the purples again. Because of this 5, we've got 3 already. The 4th one is there, the 5th one is there. So the remaining purple is definitely in this section of purples, meaning it's not in this section of purples. And now there's one in here. This 5, we've marked 3 of them. There's definitely one there. So there's one in there. That's not one, so that is. Oh, that finishes the 6. That's not one. Okay, we're very close now. Surely we can finish this. There are only 3 mines remaining. 2 of them are here, around this 2, and the 3rd one is there. So it's not that, and it's not that. Now we have just 1 remaining, and we have to use these clues to deduce it's that one. Phew. Okay, let's see how far we get on puzzle 69 before we get to 2 hours. Wow, okay, this is a strange one. Very strange shaped tiles. We've got some square ones and we've got some long rectangles, and we've not got diagonally adjacent either. This seems like it could be hard to count, because like this tile, this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That has 8 around it, but it's not just 8 like around it like would be in a normal Minesweeper game. So, okay. Those 2. Yeah, see, this one, this one is touching this mine, but it's only touching it like there. So diagonal adjacencies don't count, but adjacencies like this count. That's not classified as diagonal. Okay, on there. 3. So 2 out of those 3. That 2 actually has 2 touching. That 1 only touches 1. That 4 only. That 4 can only have 1 more, so the 3 goes like that. Okay, 1 of those also completes that 1. 2 of those. Yeah, the hardest part of this puzzle, I think, is just reasoning about the funny shapes. Interesting they made puzzle 69 a funny shaped puzzle. I don't know why. This one only touches that tile, which also completes that one. This 2 touches 3 tiles now. Oh, there's exactly one blue left, so there's one in here, which means there's one in here. And there's 3 purples remaining in total. There can only be one of these purples because we've already got one out of the 2. So 1 purple here, 1 purple here. This has to be this little central cell, which we're not going to give us a clue for. That has to be a mine. That 2 is actually complete. Okay, that 4 has 3 more. That 4 has 5 cells around it. That 3 has 4 cells around it, and that 2 has 3 cells around it. Well, then where do we go from here? Probably need to start using the red cells because there's only 3 red cells available. We're forced to use one to complete this. We're forced to use one to complete this. We're forced to use one to complete this, which could be any of those. So the only ones it can't be are that one, and that one. Maybe that helps. Oh, I suppose, yeah, and then those 2 have got to be, because we can only use one of the reds. Similarly, that has to be, and that has to be. Ah, okay. That's how we progress. This 4 we can now complete. That 4 we can complete. That 4 is done. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 plus one of them, so not that one. Now what? Okay, definitely one of these which finishes that 3. So wait, what? Oh no, that 3 only has 1 adjacent to it. Okay, I miscounted. I thought this one was adjacent. No, that one is adjacent to the 3. Hang on, what? Wait. Okay, that. I'm not sure what the logic is there. That didn't make any sense. Or maybe I was just thinking it wrong. Okay. Well, we failed, but let's continue anyway. We failed on puzzle 69. Panic, panic, panic. Okay, because these 2 are adjacent to this one, that can't be one, so that is. Either of those would finish this 3. Either of those would finish that 3. Okay, so it's that. Any of these would finish the 1. One of those 2. That 1 only has 1 adjacent. 2 of them, so that one. That one. There's only 1 mine left, which is there, so that. Okay, we only made 1 mistake. Okay, apparently levels ending in 2 and 9 we have difficulty doing without mistakes. I'm going to replay level 52, see if I can get it without mistakes. Just because I'm disappointed at the lack of blue on this board. This is what a square one with adjacencies, so I ought to be able to handle it. I can't remember if it was a silly mistake I made or if I was more stuck with the logic on this one. But I'm going to try it again. So I'm not doing much commentary on this because this is just kind of regular Minesweeper solving I'm doing at the moment. And we've already solved this level once. We just made a mistake on it. Um, This is where it starts to get tricky, I think. Um, yeah, this is definitely where it gets tricky. Oh, is this where I went wrong last time? These two are definitely correct. Why did I mark that one? Oh, it is that one. Oh, wait, there's two. That one's fake. Okay. Yeah. This is hard. I'm going to give it another go because I want to try and get them all blue, but that might be too much to ask. Always when I get to that part of the logic that I start to get confused, I think. But, you know, obviously it is possible to deduce everything in these puzzles logically without guessing. And I would like to be able to say that I've done that. And if I made mistakes, then I can't really prove that I did because I might have just guessed. So I don't know. I don't know what's best to do, to be honest. I know this bit because I just did it. We reveal all of those. We conclude that because there's two in there, there's exactly one here. We know there's exactly one here, so we conclude that there's one there. Therefore, there's one there, so that's 3. Then we look at this, see that there's 5, 6 ones there, 7 ones there, so we free all of those up. Right, where did I go wrong? It was somewhere. Oh, I see where it was. I just missed that this one was adjacent to this 2, and I just clicked there. That needs to be empty cell, obviously, because it's already completed. That's where I went wrong. Okay. Oh, Emma, you idiot. Wait, what? But there's 2 here. Oh, right, no, then that one's safe. Oh, okay. I give up. These puzzles are too hard. I can't actually solve them in one go. Oh well. In that case, there's no point continuing because we already failed it twice. I don't know. How hard were... That one actually wasn't very big. This one was quite hard, even though it was hexagons. That one I just made a mistake on. Honestly, this one was the shortest puzzle that I failed. I'm going to try and do this one without making mistakes. Because I did just make one easy mistake. I don't know, I'd like to promise I can do things without mistakes, and then I find that I can't, and it upsets me a bit. And I don't know what to do. Okay. One of those. This one is just easy to make mistakes on because of how unintuitive it is to count the neighbours of a cell. Right, yeah, then we get here, we conclude that one and that one. And then something here, we don't know yet. That one's done. Here we need to look at the red number. We see there's one there, one there, one there. So we reveal all of those. That one. Complete that. Five. Clear that one. Here we can clear that one. Mark that one. Mark those. Finish the 3. That 3. Mark those. Mark that. Finish that. I think we have to leave this till the end, strangely. It feels like we need to complete it before then, but I don't think we do. One of those implying not those. That's 2, 3. Yeah, I think at this stage we just look at the fact that there's only 3 mines left. Like the same logic that tells us there's got to be one here. Tells us that there's got to be one here. Oh. Wait, what? There's got to be one here. We know that one's... okay. This last bit of logic doesn't make any sense to me. Okay, well I failed it again. To err is human, says T-Bagger. Yeah, Emma is only human. I do want to understand what this logic is, though. Let me do it one more time and not click on anything unless I'm absolutely certain. Because I want to know what that logic is at the end. And it's only a fairly short puzzle. Go here. Thank you, Nespa, who says to R is pirate. And then lurks. Appreciate the lurk, Nespa. Very much appreciated. Oh. Okay, it's this logic. I'm gonna ignore that because it's that other logic I want to find out about. I don't even care about. Oh, I don't care about that. So I just want to figure out how that logic works. Let me finish this. Know that and that. So that. Right, yeah. So we get to this point. How do we solve this? Because I went, oh, it's one of these and therefore not that one. But this one is actually a mine. And actually thinking about it, it could be that one. And then that's a mine. So how do we solve it? Because if it's that one, then it's one of those, and that's clear. But if it's that one, then it's neither of those, and that's a mine. Either way, that accounts for the two mines. Oh, I suppose. Oh, okay. Emma's an idiot. You have to reveal this cell, which then tells you that it's one of them, which means it's not that one. Okay, that's how you do it. Right. At least Emma understands now how to do it, even though I failed again. Emma, you idiot.
Muscatel, Hollowroot, Muskroot, Tuberous Crowfoot, Good Friday Plant, Five-Faced Bishop, Town Hall Clock, Adoxa muscatellina.
Muscatel, Hollowroot, Muskroot, Tuberous Crowfoot, Crowfoot. Good Friday Plant, Five-Faced Bishop, Town Hall Clock. So I know that plant as Muscatel. It is a very unusually shaped flower. The flower is almost a cube shape. So if you can picture a cube, in fact you don't need to picture a cube. Emma has props. This is a cube. Most flowers are not cube shaped. If you imagine the stem coming in here, my finger is the stem of the flower. Then the flower has one head on each side of the four-sided cube, plus a fifth head on top. So you can see why it's reminiscent of a town hall clock, because a town hall clock would also have a face on each of the four sides of the tower. Usually town halls don't have a clock face on top, maybe for the benefit of any overflying aircraft. And I'm assuming that's where the name Five-Faced Bishop comes from as well. because it has 5 faces. Why bishop? I don't know. It is an interesting plant, so thank you, Altibago, for requesting that. Cube. Let's bring up a picture of Moscatel. So I'm going to find a photo that does a good job of illustrating the flower. And I'm going to find another photo that does a good job of showing the leaves, because nobody ever photographs leaves, because leaves are boring. Okay, there we go. Okay, the picture on the right of the leaves doesn't show the flower quite so well. If you look at the picture on the left, you can see quite clearly that there is a flower pointing this way, and also that there are flowers on either side, and also that there's a flower on top. And obviously there's one more flower pointing backwards away from the camera that you can't see, for a total of 5, giving it a cubic shape. I'm going to read my book and see what's in there. Moscatel. A perennial rhizotomous herb of mesic brown earth soils on the shaded banks of rivers and streams, in deciduous woodlands and shaded hedge banks. Also occasionally in shaded base-rich sites in mountains. So this is a plant that will only grow in the shade. It is quite strict about that. Where I live in North Somerset, you would most commonly find it in woodland, especially ancient woodland. Not so much rivers and streams, although I have found it in damp areas as well. This is a vernal species which disappears by May or June in the lowlands. So by disappears, the plant completely disappears. Some plants, they get their leaves, they flower, the flower disappears, but the leaves stay for the rest of the season. Some plants, leaves come, flower goes, and then the leaves also die off, and the plant is almost completely invisible. It's just going to be some roots or even just bulbils under the soil until the next year when it comes back. And this is one of the latter kind, along with things like lesser celandine, wood anemone. Basically any early spring flowering plant, especially ones that grow in shady areas. Like dog violet, stuff like that. They all tend to follow this pattern. I think the reason that they follow that pattern is because it's deciduous woodland. Obviously, early in the season, the trees haven't got their leaves yet. I think what the woodland plants do is they kind of rush to get into leaf as quickly as possible so that they can gather some sunlight before the canopy is completely shaded over. Then they flower while it's shady, and then they die off for the rest of the year. Not to waste energy having leaves out in the deep shade. Moscatel is self-fertile, reproducing by seed and also vegetatively. Its distribution appears to be stable, but there were historic losses in parts of eastern England and northwestern Scotland as a result of habitat destruction. It is doubtfully native in Ireland. So the atlas is showing only 2 records in Ireland. If it was native, we would expect to see more than that. So it's not rare. It is pretty widespread across England, Scotland, and Wales, with the notable exception of an area around the Wash, as well as Western Scotland. But then the book does mention habitat losses from those areas. Also, not the tip of Cornwall. I don't know if maybe it's a bit too warm for it there. Magic Catcher says, did Blowhide die back there? And El Tibago says, just having a cuddle rest. Yes, Blowhide is accurately capturing how Emma feels at the moment. So don't worry, he is perfectly okay. He's just tired. Yeah, I actually saw it today. I did some botany today. But it was kind of right at the end of when you would see it. The flowers are already gone, the leaves are starting to die back now. And there's quite a few plants. Lesser celandine as well. Lesser celandine, the leaves have already died off. I did find some dead lesser celandine leaves today, but another couple of weeks and there'll be no sign of those either. This is sort of the transition period between the end of the spring flowers and the summer, when things like hawkweeds and sow thistles are flowering and willow herbs are starting to flower, things like that. Altibago says the bishop bit may be related to the Adoxa name. Yes, I will have a look at Wikipedia in a moment, see if there's anything interesting about the names. Before we do that, I will show you. Sorry, I did not mean to have my start menu up like that. I will show you where in where in Britain it can be found, since it's not found in Ireland. Muscatel. Go. Yeah, here in North Somerset, it's not found on the Somerset Levels, which is this flat bit of marshland that was drained for agriculture. There's not really any suitable habitat there. But it's found pretty much everywhere else. So, as I say, not rare exactly. But yeah, unlikely to see it in some areas of the country. I don't know, the book mentioned losses from Western Scotland, but I'm also thinking that there wasn't much of a suitable habitat here to begin with, because there's not really forests here. So I don't know. Anyway, Muscatel. Let's see what Wikipedia has to say about it. Muscatel. Species of flowering plant. Grows in relatively sunny places in old woodland. Also grows in rock crevices in limestone pavements. Good to know. Although the Mendips are limestone, here we don't really have any limestone pavement. That's further north. Not considered to be threatened within its natural range. Inflorescence that is unique and highly distinctive, consisting of a cubical cluster of 5 green flowers, with 4 or 5 petal flowers on the sides of the cube and 1 4-petal flower on top. Yes, so something I didn't mention before. These flowers on the 4 sides have 5 petals, and the one on the top has 4 petals. So it's not that this is one of a family of plants that have this type of flower. This is the only species that does this, so it's quite special. Um, fruits in April and May. But fruiting is uncommon as reproduction is vegetative. A highly distinctive plant owing to its curious arrangement of flowers. For many years, it was considered the only species in its family. However, in 2018, a second species was discovered in China. So that's not the other species still doesn't do this with its flowers, but it's a genetically related species. Yeah, there are some subspecies. There's a subspecies of this plant that grows in Russia, apparently. So the name hollow root comes from the way that the stolon is. Well, it's not hollow, but it looks hollow when you cut through it. The stolon is not exactly the root. It's like a little bit at the base of the stalk before you get to the root. Doesn't say why it's called five-faced bishop, although it does mention that name. Obviously, I've explained why it's sometimes called town hall clock. Don't know about Good Friday plant, although I would say it probably reaches its peak of flowering vaguely near Good Friday. I mean, the thing with that is Good Friday is a different day every year. So sometimes it will be a more appropriate day than others. Found in Northern Europe, Asia, and North America. Not established as an introduced species beyond its natural range, except possibly in Ireland. Although I wouldn't exactly call it established in Ireland when it only grows in 2 places. Soils in the northwest of Britain are too acidic for it, and yeah, in eastern England there's no woodland cover. Here's an uprooted plant, which might be interesting to look at. So I can tell you what we mean by stolon. The stolon is this bit here. So these are the roots. The stolon is this bit that's like an extension of the stem below the ground. And this is a rhizome. The point of this is not, this doesn't act as a root. This like creeps along and then will put up a new stem, and then that's how the plant spreads. The flowers are, because the flowers are so plain, like most flowers are brightly coloured for the purpose of attracting insects, or the plant uses a different pollination strategy, such as wind or animals. So an animal eating a berry, for example, to spread its seed, or the wind blowing pollen through the air, that doesn't rely on the colour of the flower. But this one is actually insect pollinated, despite it not having a brightly coloured flower. So it's actually pretty unusual in that regard as well. It's pollinated by flies and nocturnal moths, which do not rely on colour to pollinate plants. It does have a very distinctive smell, which is probably what the moths are using. That's all that Wikipedia has to say about it. Thank you so much, Teabago, for that request. I will put the books back now. Oh. There we go. There. See, Emma can do it. Emma can do it. Emma did it. Can't be having level 69 not be completed. Okay, let's at least see if we can finish this row. Notice how we're unlocking ever more bonus puzzles as we complete more of the main puzzles. But notice also, this is what the bonus puzzles look like. They're not easy. They're really kind of interesting for sure, but not easy. So I can't make any guarantees I'm going to solve any of those for you. Let's have a look at number 70. This is another of these grid combination lock ones. We immediately clear that row. And then we get stuck. We see that there's 2 here, 1 here. Meaning that there's going to be 3 there. Also 2 there and 1 there. Okay, well that certainly does add up to 9, which is 4 plus 5. It doesn't tell us anything though. It's about the fact that there can only be 1 here and there could only be 1 here. Can I leave both these empty or does that break something? Yes, so leaving both of these empty actually breaks the puzzle because it forces this, and now this 4 only has 3 around it. Hello, Sarah with stars. Best Sarah. Best with best stars. Thank you for redeeming your flower of the day, which is a cleavers. Let me do a shout out for best Sarah. Everybody please go follow best Sarah, they are the best. And Sarah says hello best Emma, hello pals. Today we are playing Temetsi and we're struggling with these levels because they are hard. And I think we've only solved like 3 today if you don't count the ones that I made a mistake on. But yeah, we've just proved that these can't both be empty. Which means there's got to be 1 here. But because there's only 1 in the whole column, that means these ones are empty. Now that we know there's 1 in that column, that implies there's 1 in that column as well, which implies there's 1 in that column, which implies there's 1 in that column, which implies there's got to be 2 in this column. So actually we know that both of those are mines. And because we know there's 1 here and this is also a 1, we can actually clear these as well. This 2 now means that those are both mines. This 2 and this 3 means that there's 1 there. And there's a 1 in this row. So we can clear these cells. Sarah Stars says, you are brilliant and I believe in you. Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate that a lot. There's only 1 in all of these, but we've got to make 3 here. So both of these are going to have to be mines. Because this 6 is a 6, there can only be 1 gap in where we place the mines around it. If we try to place 3 mines here and have the gap be there, then, well, there'd be a mine there, so these would be empty. But more importantly, this would be full, so that would be forced. That would force us to finish the 4 like that. The 3 here would force us to finish the 3 like that. But the 5 here would also force us to finish the 5 like that. And this is a problem, because now this 3 has 4 mines around it. So this configuration doesn't work. So that disproves our original assumption that there are 3 here and a blank there. So that can't be right. So there must be a mine here and then 2 out of these 3. Now this 4 is completed, so these 2 are empty, and we can do that, and then that. So now we know that there's 1 here, which means there's also 1 here, and we know there's 1 there. So that's 1, 2, 3 on this bottom row, meaning that one is empty. Now we know that there is going to be 1 here and 1 here. We already know there was 1 there. So now in regards to this 4, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got everything accounted for. There's got to be nothing there. That completes this row. So that's a mine. Now what? Well, here we've got to use one of these, so that's clear. Okay, we've got a 2 here and we've got a 3 here. So if we put 2 mines into this area and then this one is empty, then that would be empty and that would be a mine. And then we'd have to put 1 mine into here. Since that is already accounted for, we would also have to put 1 there. Does this work? 1, 2, 3. Oh, that actually does work. Okay. I thought we were going to disprove something there, but that actually works. What can we disprove? I guess then, can we disprove putting 2 here and 1 here and having that be a mine? Is there a good reason why this doesn't work? So that would finish that, which would mean there was 1 there. Which would actually, let's just explore the consequences of having a mine here. There's nothing, that means there's nothing there, which means there's 1 there, which completes this 3, which means these 2 are blank. Means there's 1 there, which means that's blank, which means there's 1 there. And also there, which means that's blank. Which means that's blank, which means there's 1 there. Okay. I didn't break quite as much as I was hoping to have broken at this point. Can we actually prove that this cell is empty? Well, let's assume that there's 1 in there. There's got to be 1 of these 2 to finish the 6, so that would mean these 2 were empty, which would put 1 there. We'd also put 2 here and here, which would mean 1 there. No, that actually works as well. Okay, I was hoping to find a configuration that didn't work quite quickly. I do see what we can do though. We've got to have 5 in this column, and we've only got 3, so we've got to have those 2. It doesn't do much for us though. Yeah. Seems like everything has two possible ways it could go. Hmm. There's one there. Then we know that means there's nothing there. Actually, is this? No, we know there can be one there. Hang on. I'm trying to figure out where we can actually infer there isn't something, and I'm kind of drawing a blank on that. No, this still works. This still works. 1, 2, 3, and then a fourth one there. Does this work? Forcing one there. Does this break anything? Okay, there may be one in there now, so that would force both of these. Force both of these to be empty. That to be empty. No, that still works. Okay, I can't find a configuration that doesn't work. I guess we have to look at these numbers. We haven't really been looking at them. This 2 tells us there's going to be one more in this column. If I was to put one here, that would complete this column. And it would also make this empty, which would force us to fill in all of these to complete that column. And we'd have to fill in that one. So that would be empty. Which would put one there, and that would be empty. No, that doesn't. That's still fine. Okay. What about making this? Oh, well, yeah. Obviously, those can't both be empty. What about making this empty? We put mines in here to finish the 4. We have to put one in there to finish that 4. That's empty. That doesn't determine anything about that though, so okay, we're gonna have to do this the tedious way, I think. So I'm going to assume there's one. I'm just going to put a dot in each corner, and then I'm going to go through and put a dot in each other corner. We start by assuming there's one there. One here or here completes the 3, so that implies these 2 are empty, which implies one here. That implies these 2 empty and one here. And also implies that one. And also that to finish the 3. Therefore that. Therefore that. All that is implied just by putting a dot there. If we instead put the dot here, that still finishes the 3, so that's still empty. Oops, not there. That's still empty. Now also that is empty, which implies there's one there. And the 3 is done, which makes that empty, which puts one there. Puts one there, which makes that empty, which puts one there, making that empty, which puts one there, making that empty. Okay. So at the moment, both options we tried make these 4 cells always have the same value in them. The others are opposite. But there's an option we haven't considered yet, which is what happens if there's a mine here. If there's a mine here, then the 3 is completed by one of these 2. So these are both empty now, which puts one here, which puts one here, not there. Got to be one there, it's got to not be one there. Now for the 2. 2, got to be one there. Okay. Hang on. One, 2, 3. Okay. So no matter which of these squares we put a dot in, there's got to be the second one has got to go here. So can we disprove that this is blank? Let's assume this is blank and try and break something. So there's one here. Here we go. Okay, so there's one here. So there's got to be one here, but the 2. Okay, right. This is got to be blank. Wait. Oh, but it's not. What? There's one in here. Stupid game. I'm most confused. This has got to be a mine, but I don't know why. Sarah, you know when you said I was brilliant and you believed in me? You don't want to revise that statement, do you? T-Bago had been confusion since we started this game. I don't blame you, T-Bago. Okay. So we already proved that it's one of these 2, so we can do that. We knew that already. Like we know all of this. And then we know that one's empty, and then we know that the 5 is complete. That was as far as we got, right? So this, let me try and prove. Oh, hang on, did I get mixed up? Oh, I know what I did. I was trying to prove this one wasn't empty, and I thought I proved it was empty. If this is empty, then there's 2 here, but then the 3 is already complete, but this is empty, and now this 6 only has 5 around it, so there has to be a mine here. Okay, I think I just massively screwed up remembering what it was I was trying to do. See, then the rest of it like just kind of solves itself. So annoying. Right, we've got 5 more to place. Obviously one in this column, one in that column, and then the other three are in the middle. If we do that, then that's 3 because there's one there. Actually, yeah. Does this being a mine break everything? Because it makes all of that empty, which means you've got to put mines there and there. But also that's empty because of the 4. Yeah, okay. So putting a mine here breaks this 4, so that's empty. And then the fact that that's a 3 tells us something, I guess. I suppose, yeah, because that 4, that's got to be there. Okay. Then there's got to be 2 at the top, so it's going to look like that, and then that. Okay, it's fine apart from the bit that wasn't. Let's do a few more. This one looks like it should be easy because it's quite small. Something tells me it's going to be horrendously difficult. Start counting mines. There's 1 in there, which means there's 1 in there, which means there's 3 in there. Means these 3 are empty. On this bottom row, there's 1 in there, which means there's 1 in there, which means there's 2 in there, which means this is empty. Okay, so far so good. Still can't use any of the coloured numbers, obviously. What else can we infer? Since we know that there's 2 there, we know that there's 1 there. And 1 there. What does that tell us? That doesn't tell us anything. Likewise, we know there's 2 there, and therefore 1 there, and therefore 1 there. Like, there are obviously multiple solutions. Basically, for this whole bit, you can either put a mine there, or you could put a mine there and there, and it would work the same way. It would be equivalent. So until we've got these coloured numbers down a bit lower, we can't actually make any progress there. What else can we look at? What about this 3 and this 1? Yeah. This section is interesting. Only 2 of these can be mines, which means there's got to be at least 1 here, but there's a 1 here, so then none of these can be. And in fact, that means exactly 1 of these is. It means exactly 2 of those are, which means that those are both empty. Which means that 3 of those are, which means that these are all empty. And now we can actually do stuff. Okay, we have done stuff. Stuff has been done. 1 there, which means 1 there. Actually, are the coloured numbers low enough yet that we can infer anything from them? 3, 3, and 4. Not really. Well, there's definitely 1 green one being used here. We know that. So, excluding this, it's 3, 3, and 3. Which is like the least useful thing. 1 there, which means there's 1 there. Has there got to be 1 here? If I put 2 mines here and 1 there and then make this blank. No, that still works. hold on. Let me have a look at this. If I put one there, let me do that. Yeah, hang on. Then I could just do that. Yeah, like we could arrange for this section to use 0 blues, 0 greens, and also 3 oranges. Or we could do this. And then we would have 1, 2, and 1. Or we could do yeah, this. Or we could do that, and then that would be 2, 1, and 2. Or we could do this. And that's 3, 0, and 3. So there are 4 possibilities for how many of each color we use for this top section. And obviously we know that there's a green here. So once we've used that green, we've got 3 of each color to use. Well, that doesn't rule out any of these possibilities because they all use at most 3 of each color. So what options have we got here? Well, actually, okay, let's think about this. We've got to use at least 1 green here. Because let's say we use the 2 orange, then there's still a green. So we can actually eliminate the solution that requires 3 greens because there's going to be 2 greens used down here. So this solution is not possible. By the same logic, we need to use at least 1 orange down here because we can only use 2 greens. So we can't. The solution that requires all 3 oranges up here is not possible either. So the options are that we use 1 blue, 1 green, and 2 oranges, or 2 blues, 2 greens, and 1 orange. Are we forced to use any blues? Like, this isn't possible because we know we can only have 1 or 2 blues up here. So we can't use all the blues. And we can't use none of the blues. So this isn't an option either. Because that would leave us with no blues, and we know that's not an option. So we have to either use 1 or 2 blues in here, but we don't know which. If we put 1 blue in here and then don't use any more, then it would have to be here. Otherwise, the 3 would need 3 oranges. If we only use 1 blue, it would have to go there. If we only use 1 blue, we're also only using 1 green, which would have to go here, so that would be clear. Which would imply this screen would be there. So that's the solution if we use 1 blue and 1 green. If we use 2 blues and 2 greens, then only 1 orange. We use this one, or does that not work? No, we can't use that one. Okay, if we use only 1 orange, it has to be this central orange, because if it's this orange, we can't do the 3, and if it's this orange, we can't. No, actually, we could do the 2. We could do the 2 like that. Oh no, we couldn't. No, we can't do that. Okay. So if we're only using 1 orange in the bottom right, it has to be the middle orange. And if we're using 2 oranges, so we're only using 1 blue, it can't be that blue. Hang on, we figured out what configuration it had to be if we were using yeah, it was this 2. So I think if we use 1 orange down here, it has to be this orange. And if we use 2 oranges down here, it has to be these 2 oranges. In other words, I don't think it's possible to use this orange. Well, that was the most complicated deduction I've ever made. Hello, Best Owl Who Know. Welcome in, Best Owl Who Know, most cutest owl who know, amazingest owl who know. I hope you are well. Okay, now we actually do know that it's the 2 orange case, which means we know that we're using 1 orange here, and we're also using 2 of each of those. Which means we know we're only using 1 blue and 1 green. Okay. Wow, I can't believe that took so long to deduce. Right, so now that we know we're only using 1 orange, do we know where it's going? Because if it's here, and then we can't use any more, does that work? Yeah, that works. It looks like that. But is that the only place we can put the orange? What if we try to not put the orange there? Does the puzzle break? What if we try to put the orange here? See, that still works. We can put the orange there and the puzzle still works. So, okay. Is there any way we can't? What if we put the orange here? Does that break something? Okay, yes. If we put the orange here, that breaks the rest of the puzzle. So we can't put the orange there. I was hoping that to not be a question mark. Because that doesn't tell us very much. What if we put the orange here? No, that's okay. Oops, no, those are supposed to be black. Okay, the way things stand, it seems like I have 3 options for where to put everything. How do I solve this? So if I put the orange here, then basically it's this column and this column that end up having the other, the green and blue mines in them. If I put the orange here, then this column still ends up having a mine in it. But now this column has one as well. And if I put the orange here, then this column ends up still having a mine. Okay, and then this column does. Right, so no matter what, This column here never has a mine in it in any of the possible configurations. So I can reveal those two squares. Right, and now there's a 1, so now I can eliminate the configuration that had mines in these two squares. They've got to be here and here. Which means the orange has to be there. Okay, that was far too complicated for such a small puzzle. Okay. We did do it, though. LG Bago has a question. Why is it called beauty sleep, even though you wake up looking like a hot mess? I don't know. I don't think I've ever personally got beauty sleep in order to be able to tell you. Emma's sleep is disturbed at the best of times. Let's... Beauty sleep. Sleep considered to be sufficient to keep one looking young and healthy. Well, I'm not sure I've been getting that. And I would argue that if I was getting it, I would probably wake up looking less of a mess than I do. So, yeah, I don't know. Tibago, I would question if the premise of your original question is true. I think beauty sleep does have benefits. I just think I never actually managed to get any. So it's difficult to answer because I don't think it's actually true. But thank you for asking. We have another puzzle here. It is hexagons again. Where do we start though? I think I see where we start. I think we start with the fact that the yellow number is 0. Which means we can actually just reveal all of the yellows. So I'm not sure why they even put the yellows in the grid to begin with. Maybe, oops, no, that was, sorry, that was a misclick. Why they put the yellows in the grid to begin with? Maybe they just wanted the puzzle to look nice in its starting position. Because they don't really add anything to the puzzle if you can immediately reveal them. Okay, let's try not to misclick again. Okay, I think we've clicked everything that we can immediately click. So there are 5 more purples and 10 more pinks to think about. We know that there is exactly 1 purple here, meaning that there are 4 more mines in purple spaces. And if it was just these 4, that would be easy, that would complete the 4. But there's this extra awkward purple one, so we can't actually make that assumption yet. Oh, this 2 is actually complete. We can do more stuff over here. This 4 on the left-hand side, we've got 2 there. There's got to be 1 there. There's got to be 1 there. So these are all empty. That. Don't know what to do there. This 3, because there's exactly 1 there, that means there's also exactly 1 there. So actually this 3 forces there to be a mine here. Doesn't directly help us with anything though. What about this 5 and this 2? Yeah, so a 5 basically means the entire thing, every cell around this 5 is a mine except for 1. we assume that both of these are, that would force all of these to be empty, which would actually force all of these to be mines, which would force all of these to be empty. So that does force a lot of things. I'm just wondering if it forces enough things that we can cause it to break something. It literally, I feel like it's not this because it literally solves the entire rest of the level by force, if that's true. Not the whole rest of the level, but this much of the level. Okay, so there would have to be a gap here. But that would still be possible. Okay, yeah, that configuration is actually possible. That doesn't prove anything. I was rather hoping that would break something. Okay. What can we do to break something then? I think we can use this too. We know there's... If we imagine that both of these were mines for this 5, all of those would be empty. And then both of these would have to be to satisfy this 2, but then this 1 would be overloaded. So there can't be 2 mines here. There have to be just 1 mine here, which means these are both mines. And then because we know there's 1 here, and we also know there's got to be 1 here, that means these 2 are empty. And okay, because of this 3, that one is empty. Doesn't help as much as I thought it might. Raid? Essentially Amber, welcome in. Thank you so much for raiding with your party of 8 viewers. Welcome in to Sarah with Stars, Craig Bear, and of course Best Amber. Best Amber, please do let us know what you were streaming and whether it was a success. And thank you mods for doing a shout out to Amber. Please everybody go follow Amber. Let me just figure out what it is that Amber was doing. Amber was doing the Exit 8. I've forgotten how to do this, but there was horror games ahead. Okay, so you were doing horror games. Amber is a good friend of the community. And Amber is actually part of the dev team for Teeny Tiny Trains, and did gift me a Steam key for the DLC, which is very generous. I very much appreciate it. Amber says, hello, we were playing Exit 8, an anomaly spotting spooky game. Okay, yeah, I've seen a few people play those. I'm not sure I could ever play one myself. Partly due to the horror aspect of it, and I personally don't like horror games much. But mostly due to I'm really bad at spotting things. Emma is not very observant sometimes. So I hope you did some good anomaly spotting, Amber. For anyone joining me for the first time, welcome. My name is Emma. I'm here every Friday, usually Saturday and Sunday. And I mostly play puzzle games. Today we are doing some very hardcore logic puzzling, but don't worry, that's not the only type of puzzling I do. We also play more sort of puzzle platformers or exploration puzzle type games as well. This game is called Temetsi. It's kind of like Minesweeper, in that you've got a grid of cells, you've got to find which ones are mines and which ones are safe. But it's a little bit more interesting than Minesweeper. You have different shaped cells in different levels. You've got coloured cells as well. But if you have to raid and fade, then that is fine by me. But be sure to have a good weekend, and I hope to see you again soon. If anybody would like to redeem their flower of the day before they leave, please do so. It is only 10 channel points. Right, we just before you raided in, we were getting a bit stuck on this stage of the level. Amber says, I'm going to grab a hot drink as my throat is sore, but I'll be lurking. Thank you so much for the lurk, Amber. I appreciate it. Best Amber. If I was to put a mine here, that would make both of these empty, and then we would only be able to fill in 3 of these 4, and that would break the 4 over here. That actually can't be a mine. That might be how we were supposed to make progress. And then here, if we fill in both of these and end up with something like that, these all have to be empty, these all have to be empty. Does that break anything? Not really, because these are all low numbers. It's easier to break high numbers than low numbers. Another thing we can observe is there's exactly 1 here and exactly 1 here, which means there's also exactly 1 here. But I don't know what that means for us. We also have this pink number saying that there are 4 pink ones left. We know that one of the pink ones is there. We know that another of the pink ones is there. But we don't really know anything about this because it's got a question mark as its clue. We can't do anything with that. So where else can we go? Well, we could assume that these were both mines. Sorry, the black doesn't show up very well on the purple, but basically I'm assuming this one is clear and the rest are mines. That makes all of these clear. But it also forces all of these to be mines, which actually... Yeah, this might be something. That clear, that clear. But it also forces all of these to be clear. Actually, no, is this just the same... Is this the same configuration we had before? No, it isn't. No, this does actually break it this time. This 3 has 4 mines around it. Oh, actually, and this 4 only has 3 mines around it. So, okay. So, in conclusion, making both of these mines breaks stuff over here. So we have to make this one a mine, and only one of these 2 a mine. We still don't know which one, though. I guess the next step is to decide where the gap is on this 5 clue. Let's assume the gap is here and do that. Does that break anything? Well, it can only be 1 and 1. So these are now forced. These are now empty. It doesn't break anything though. Okay, so plausibly the gap could be at the top right. If we put the gap here, now these are all empty. And we get this pattern. Ah, this breaks. Okay, this breaks because this 4 only has 3 around it. So the gap can't be here, so this is a mine. We can finish off that bit. Sarah with Stars says, I will say, Emma explains her process so well with this game, even when it's hard. She makes it feel like we all get it right together, even though I'd be lost on my own. Yes, I am very grateful to chat with all the help that they've given me in this game, which is to sit there quietly with their brains slowly melting out of their ears. Don't worry, I'm doing the same. Okay, come on. Surely I can figure this out. There's definitely exactly one mine here. And there's only one here. So even if we make both these mines, there's exactly one here. We can definitely say that these two are empty. That is forced. That forces that. That forces that. And that. There's a mine there. And these two are empty. That forces these two empty. Okay, and one there, one there, one there. We kind of knew that. We know that is all empty now. Okay, so we've cleared the top area. Right, that's that side done. Okay, back to this 3. We still know, like, there's one there, one there, one there. Or if you want to draw it another way, we also know there's one there, one there, one there. That's equivalent. So that actually tells us that that's free. We're going to have to use the fact that there's 3 pinks soon. Otherwise, it's there for no reason. We've also got this 6 clue that we haven't used. There's currently 4 mines marked in this row, so we need to mark 2 more. We can't mark this one and this one because basically there's 2 possibilities for this 3. Either these 3 are mines or the other 3. So these 3 are mines. Those are the only 2 possibilities. Either way, one of these 2 is. So to make up the 6, we've actually got to mark that one. That leaves us with 2 pink ones, and if we think about this 2 in terms of it's got to be one of these, then this 3 has to have one of these, and those are both pink, and this 4 has one of these, and those are both pink. So one of these 2 pinks and one of these 2 pinks must be a mine. That accounts for the 2 pinks, so this pink is empty. And that that is the last piece of information we needed to clear this area. We still haven't done this bottom part. We have to put 5 mines into here, and there must be only one way of doing it. Otherwise, the puzzle would be impossible. There's definitely one here, and 2 here, but that makes 4. It doesn't tell us where the 5th one is. Another way of looking at it is there's one here. Okay, this is how you look at it. There's one here, and one here to solve the 2, and the 5. That's 3. There's only 2 cells I haven't marked. So to get to 5 total, both of those cells must be mines. And that observation against the total is what gives us a unique solution. Phew. Maybe we can get one or two more puzzles done by the end of the stream. We're not going to get to level 80. I know that much. Okay, starting off with the classic 0 row that we can just reveal everything on. Column, not row, but you know what I mean. We're back to squares again. 1 there, 1 there, 2 there, 1 there. 2 there, 1 there, therefore 1 there, therefore these are empty. By the way, if you're not sure what I'm doing here, I'm looking at this 1, which touches these 4 cells and saying, okay, in those 4 cells, there can only be 1 mine. Then I'm looking at this 2, which in addition to these 4 cells, it touches 2 other ones. Because these 4 cells have 1 mine and we need 2 mines total, there's got to be exactly 1 mine in here. Then I can look at this 3. This 3, in addition to these 2 cells, also touches these 4. So there's exactly 1 in here, then there must be exactly 2 in here in order to make up 3 total. And then you can just sort of repeat this process, and you alternate between looking at 1 cell at a time and 2 cells at a time. And if by the way, this is sort of a notation that I do, which might be a bit obscure. If I draw a line with a bend in it, a sharp bend, that means there's 2 mines there. If I draw a line with a curve, that means there's only 1. And if I draw a zigzag, that means there's 3. I'm not sure what I do if there's more than 3. This is just normal Minesweeper logic here. Okay, now we need to go back to this stuff again. So because of this 2 already having 1 mine, there's exactly 1 here, meaning exactly 1 here, meaning exactly 1 here. And you see how this just repeats infinitely? If you've got a 3, so this 3 here, it's touching exactly 1 mine here and exactly 1 mine here. So to get it to 3, we have to put another exactly 1 mine there. But then the next row is a 3, so we have to put another 1, and then the next row is a 3. So that just continues endlessly until you get here. And here we need to put 2 mines touching this 2. We've already put 2 mines touching this 2. So these ones are empty. So you have this weird pattern when you're solving levels like this, where you sort of work your way up with logic, solve something up here, then work your way back down with slightly different logic and solve something at the bottom. Sadly, that revealed 2 question marks and therefore was completely useless. I really thought we were onto something then. Okay, this 3, there's got to be at least 1 in here because there's a 2 there. That solves the 1 completely, so we can reveal all of these. Then we can do our favourite type of logic, which is this stuff. There's 2 in there, there's 1 there, there's 2 there, therefore there's 1 there. Therefore there's 3 here to make that 4, which means that all of these are empty. Then some of this is just solved now. Okay, now I'm going to go back down this column with slightly different logic. We're going to say there's 1 there, implying 1 there, implying 1 there, implying 1 there, and then we're going to say that these 2 are empty. And we almost solved the whole thing, but not quite. But then we see this 6, and we say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in total. We solve that whole side. We need to put 4 into this column. We've only got 1 there at the moment. There is a second one here, and 2 more here to make this up to 3. So this cell is empty. Because it's also a 2, that means these cells are empty. We need to put 3 into here. No matter what, we've got to put at least 1 more here because it's a 5 and we've only got 3 so far. But I don't know anything about this stuff yet, so we can't do anything there. We can do something with this 2. This 3, we've got to put 1 here and 1 here, so that completes the 2. Wait, what? Oh. I thought this tile was in here. I was like, 1, 2. Emma, you can't count. Stupid Emma. Yeah, there's 1 here, but then we've still got to find the other one. Okay, thinking about it, yeah, then we can deduce the other one is there. So if we ignore that error, we knew that that was clear anyway. So we haven't spoiled anything. We can probably use that information now to narrow down where the 3 has to be. because we know there's one there and one there. And we know there's two there and one there. Yeah, this 2 implies there's got to be at least one there, and we know there's got to be one there. So we can reveal this cell, the only one that we know to be safe. And then because we know there's one there, we know that's a mine. And then... now what? Now what? Can we? Yeah, we can infer at least. Okay. If you know that there's 2 mines in these 3 squares, then you also know that there's at least 1 mine in these 2 squares. You don't know there's exactly 1. You know there's at least 1. But if there was 2 here, this would all be empty. And would that break anything? I suppose it wouldn't. Then this would happen. Oh, actually, no, that would break everything. Okay. Yeah, this cell here has to be a mine. Otherwise, this breaks. So then for this 4, we get 1, 2, 3, 4. And we know that this is empty. So now we have 1 here and 1 here. So we know that. What? Emma brain melt, Emma brain melt, Emma brain melt. To distract you from Emma's melting brain, please enjoy this long rat, courtesy of Alice Sits. Look, I'm solving most of it. Okay? Solving most of it. There we go. Right, 5 in this column. 1 there, 1 there, and 3. So none there. Okay. 6 in this column. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there can't be anything here, and also that. 4 in this column. 1, 2. 3, 4. Right, and then this is a mine. So this. Right, now we're getting somewhere. 1 there. That's 3. 3. We still have a purple clue, by the way. We know that there's 2 purples, but we don't know much more than that. There. 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 Okay, that's one of the purples. Right, we know one out of these four is purples is a mine. But we will probably have to use that knowledge at some point. Right, 5 in this column. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, how does that help? I could have told you that. Oh, hang on. No, we have to mark it differently. 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5 to finish the 4. So actually, this one is empty. 3 in the next column. 1, 2. Oh, 3. Right. So this one's clear. Oh, right, then, okay, then we've got the 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4. And then if we manage to prove this one is 3, that would put the 5th in the purple, but we don't know that yet. So we have to do something else first. Oh, I'm an idiot. This last column, 5. Well, that's just all of them then. That's 5. Okay, yeah, now there's only 5 mines left. We can probably do something fancy. Like we can, okay, this 4 only has 1 mine around it. So 3 of the remaining 4 are here. Sorry, 3 of the remaining 5 are here. And 1 of them is here and 1 of them is here. Actually, no, because this one could do double duty. Ah, okay, we don't know that yet. Yes, I know you're a rat fan, T-Bagger, but I think you're familiar with Alice's emotes already. I think I see what to do. There can only be 1 here. So with this 4, even if we assume that that's a mine, 1, 2, 3, we've got to use one of these purples to complete the 4. So we can see that there's 1 there. We can see there's at least 1 purple being used regardless, but because this number tells us it's exactly 1, we know that that's a mine. And that's how we finish it. Okay, well I nearly didn't make any mistakes. Unfortunately, the problem with this game is it doesn't distinguish between nearly making it, nearly getting it right and just not getting it right at all. Like, if I played this and I just, just keep spamming until I guess the correct numbers, like, that would still count the puzzle as being solved. So there's nothing that tells you, oh, you made 1 mistake on this level versus you made 100 mistakes on this level. Anything less than perfection is not good enough. Anyway, back to hexagons. Might make this the last one. We'll see. Oh, the coloured numbers are a bit smaller than I expected. We have 1 blue one in the entire puzzle. It's going to be here, so we can reveal every other blue. Okay then. Fair enough. Then we have 1 yellow one, and it's going to be one of these 2, so we can reveal every other yellow. Something tells me it's going to get harder once we're done revealing coloured numbers, though. Okay, there are 2 green. It's slightly more complicated. Oh, this actually points all the way down here. I didn't notice. Okay, so 2 out of these 3. And then for this 5, we know 1 there, 1 there, and then that one. We don't know about the rest. For this 4, we know that there's 1 there and 1 there. We don't know anything else. I want to say that there are two greens here and that this is all empty. I don't think I can prove that though. Like if I assume there's just one green here, then this still works. You can do that. And that would mean there would be another green in here still. Unless that somehow breaks the 4, which it doesn't. We do know there's one there, which counts towards the 4. Actually, we know that one's empty. We can do this. Oh, did we use the 6? No, because that's still only at 4. Okay, what clue do we use next is what I want to know. Do we use the 4 now? We know there's one here, obviously, and we know there's one there. Yeah, and we know there's one here and one here. Okay, so that completes the 4. So that, is question mark, and these 2. We do know there can only be one here though, so we can mark this and this. Yeah, that still doesn't prove that these are all empty though. So now what? That has to be one because only one of those. Oh, flagging this one changed 1, 2, 3. No, we still only have 4 out of the 5. How many of the 6 do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, no, never mind. We have all the 6. So all 3 of these are empty. Okay, and sure enough, we did only use one of the greens, so we can't prove that these are all empty. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's one more in this row. There's also one more in this row. And in fact, there are 3 mines left in total. So there's one more in that row, one more in that row. There's going to be one more in that row. And the one in that row has to be one of these 2. So it's not that one. One of them is in the green area. We don't know which one yet. There's definitely one here. And there's definitely one here. The third one is somewhere else. I think what we're supposed to do is we're supposed to say there's one here, and we know there's one here, and that's our 3 mines. So this center hexagon we can actually clear. Then, this is clever actually. Surprising number of steps to finish it. Then we can say we know there's one here, and we know there's one in the green, so we know there's one here. And then, no, sorry. Well, yeah, we do know there's one in the green. But we know there's one here, but then because of the 2, we know there's one here. But we know there's one in the green. So now we clear that hexagon. I like the ending to this puzzle. Now that we know that there's one there, what can we do? How does that help? We still only know there's one in here. Emma? I might just have to try possibilities for this. So let's assume this is a mine, and then all of this is empty. And that's one, and that's one. Okay, that works. What if we assume it's this one? And all this is empty. That breaks it. Yeah, look, if we assume this is a mine, it breaks this too. So that's empty as well. So now we know there's one here. This is a surprising number of steps to solve this. Now we know there's one here. So we reveal this one. We had about 10 cells left, and we can only reveal one at a time. There's no one moment when we find all the logic. Now these 2, so we know it's not that one. Right, now we know it's that one. and therefore it's not that one. I did one right first time. It was also a little faster than I thought, so we've probably got time for... Ooh, I like this one. At least I like the name of it. The level is called Lonely Glider. If anyone's familiar with Conway's Game of Life, which is a cellular automaton, this shape in the middle is a glider in that. And also we have 0 yellow, so we can immediately reveal the glider. There we go. Glider has now gone. Do have some other coloured cells to maybe make use of in a moment. Can we use this 2 yet? Not really. We know that there's 1 here. We don't know where the second one is. We know there's 1 here. But that doesn't actually prove anything about this 2. Every possible combination against that 2 is still valid. I suppose we know that this isn't a possible combination because that breaks the 2, which means we know that that's a mine. Which means that that is also a mine. Since we know there's 1 there, that means that this isn't a valid combination either, because that would break this 2. So that means there's 1 there. Okay, yeah. That is how we were supposed to proceed. It was just a bit non-obvious at first. It was only normal Minesweeper logic, but it still required some thought. Okay, well, the point where there's only 2 light blue cells that are still mines, so we need to bear that in mind. There's definitely 1 here. There's 1 here, which means there's 1 there, which means there's 1 there. It means this 1 is complete. Don't you just hate it when you think, clicking this cell will reveal everything, and then it's a question mark? Because the puzzle designer is smart and knows that clicking there would reveal everything, so they don't let you do it. 1 there, so that. And therefore not that. Sorry, I'm not sure what that was. Puzzle Frustration Noise by Emma. Oh, I think we finally get to use the light blues. We need to put 3 more mines around this 5. One of them's got to go here, and then there's 2 blues, so all these blues are empty. And then we can probably do something over here, because we just revealed a bunch of stuff. Yeah, we can do that. We now need to pay attention to the dark blues as well. There are 5 remaining dark blues. At least 2 of them are here. At least 2 of them are here. Actually, exactly 2 of them are here. And exactly 2 of them are here. And then at least 1 is here. So 2 there, 2 there, 1 of these, and then this would be the second one. That's the 5 dark blues accounted for. So we can reveal every dark blue cell that wasn't in that collection. We also know that this has to be a mine. Clearing that lets us do that. Which lets us finish off that corner. We have to start using these numbers soon, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 2 more out of the 3 in that row. This is a 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 1 out of these 2 is a mine. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 3 out of these 4 is a mine. This 2, we know there's 1 here. We don't know where the other one is. The 7 is nowhere near, nor is the 6. 4. This 4 is completed because 1, 2, 3, and we know there's 1 here, so they're all accounted for. We do that. This 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. There can only be 1 here because of the 1, so that's the 6th one. And then the 5 just tells us that there's 1 here. Tibago, thank you for clipping the puzzle frustration noise. I'm not quite sure what came over me then. We don't have any more column headings now. It'd be nice if they carried on and we could use them here, but we can't. We know that there's 1 here, which means 1 there. Don't know what that implies for any of that. This implies 1 there, which implies 1 there. We do anything over this side? Not really. Still no, we just know that from the dark blues, we just know that there's 2 there and 2 there out of the 4. What about this 4? We've got 1 here, we've got 1 there. We've got 1 there because of that 2. We don't know where the 4th one is though. Like, there's no guarantee that this is 1. There's no guarantee that that is 1. The 7 we're nowhere near. This 4, we haven't actually marked anything in that 4 yet. We have the second one for that too. No, we don't even have that. If that's a mine, then that's clear, that's a mine, which would make that a mine and that clear. And requirement for 4 here would make that a mine, which would make that clear, which would make those 2 mines, which would make that clear, which would make that a mine, make that clear. None of that does anything for us though, does it? It's all just hypothetical. Oh well, let's do some hypotheticals. So we assume this, which means that's clear. That's clear. That's a mine. That's a mine. That's that's a mine. That's a mine. That's clear. That's a mine. That's and that's clear. That's everything we can infer from that, from just this one. If we do it the opposite way, so we make this a mine and that clear, that's now a mine, that's now clear. What do we infer from that? That completes the 4, so that's clear, so that's a mine, that's a mine. Right, and these two are both, yeah, it forces both these two to be mines. So these two are always mines no matter what. That gets us absolutely nowhere, but it is interesting that we can make that assumption. We know that there's one here, which means there's one here, which means there's one here. I think we can actually say that that's a mine, and that's clear. Which is interesting, potentially. So yeah, each of these little lines I've just drawn means one of those two squares is a mine, but we don't know which one. Obviously for this 5 we know that one of those two, but that's not particularly helpful. So am I missing here? What is Emma missing? I know that this isn't possible because that breaks the 7. So I know there's at least one here. If I knew there was exactly one here, I could mark these two as mines, but I don't, because these could also both be mines. If these were both mines, then this would look like this, which is a perfectly valid way for it to look. Is there any way I can break this 5 by doing something stupid? What combination of these two? Sorry, you can't see very well on the screen probably, but I'm marking those two as mines. And then that makes that one clear, which means that one has to be a mine. So does all of these. That clear. That would have to be a mine. One of these would be a mine, which would make all of those clear. Yeah, it still works though. Like that doesn't stop it from working. It would imply that all of these other cells on this column were clear. Is interesting. So there would need to be a combination here that didn't work in order for me to really do anything. Okay, we'll resort to doing it with little dots again. So no dot there, dot there. That's the 6, so that would be empty. That would be empty, which forces all of these to be full. That would make this all empty, which would mean that one, not that one. That would not tell us anything about the bit down below. It would work though. Okay, so other possibility then is this one is empty and there are mines here and here. That would actually make this empty. which would make this one be a mine to complete the 6. That would make this a mine. That wouldn't really constrain any of the rest of it. So then 1, 2. Could these 3 all be mines? And no, that could work actually. Hang on. Just wondering if I can disprove anything by doing this. Having all of these be... No, sorry, that's not what I meant. I meant having these 3. And then... Oh, it can't be those 2 because that 1. Ah, okay, hang on. There might be something here. We go back to this case. Yeah, I think I see what to do here. If we look at this 3, how many, basically we're asking how many mines adjacent to this 3 are also adjacent to this 5. So how many of these cells are mines is what we're asking. The answer is obviously not 0 or 1. If there was only one of these, then there'd be a second one here and the 3 would be broken. It also can't be all 3 of them, because then these would both be clear and the 1 would be broken. So there have to be exactly 2 mines in here. We knew there were exactly 2 mines in here, the 3 blue cells, but there's also exactly 2 mines in here. Because there's 2 mines here, that means there's 3 mines in the remaining cells of the 5, which also touch this 3. So actually these 3 are always empty. That must be how we make progress. Now then. 2 of those, so 1 of them. I was hoping that would reveal more than it did. Close are we to the 7? We know there's 1 here for the 7. We know there's 1 here. And now we know there's 1 here as well. And I think there has to be 1 here. I don't think this can be empty. If this is empty, then these would all have to be mines. Which would break the 3. I think that's be 1 here. So I think 1, 2, 3, 4. We can account for 4 of the 7, but we've got 5 spaces left. That doesn't help. Why is this so hard? What happens now if we assume these 2? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so 1 of them. That would make this and that, so that would be empty. That would all be empty. That would be complete. We might be able to prove that some of these cells on the side are empty. Let me think about that for a bit. If we go back up to what's going on up here. If we make this one empty and these 2 mines, that's empty. That's a mine. That's a mine. Oh, then there's 2 possibilities though. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, then there's two possibilities. So this could be a mine, and then that one's empty. In which case this. And then all these cells are empty. But the other possibility is this is empty. So this still looks like this, but now this is empty. So then both of these have to be mines. This has to be a mine. This still has to be a mine. But now there's only one here. Oh, that's still empty though. But we don't know anything about the two. Okay, and then the third possibility. These are starting to look like dice faces. The third possibility is that this one is empty, and these two are mines. Actually, let's put that on the corner. This is empty, these two are mines. These two are still forced. That's now a mine. We now don't know about the state of these ones, though. We know that one's a mine. We know one of those two is a mine, which means that one's empty. We do have our 3 here, so that one's empty. Again, it's one of these two, but now the 3 isn't completed. So that would have to be a mine. And we don't know if the 2 would be completed. Okay, yeah, so I think the only thing we can conclude with 100% confidence is this is a mine. Which is not especially helpful. Okay, this is way harder than I thought any of these puzzles would get, to be honest. I have solved this before, but I don't remember doing it. Must be missing something obvious, but I don't know what it is. Some way, can we like rule out this because it overloads the 4 or something? That would do that. There would have to be one here, and that would be empty. There would be one there. There'd be one there. This would have to be one. It still doesn't prove anything though. Do we just think? No, we can't show there's one there, can we? We can show that there's one here, and there's one here. We know nothing about the state of that tile. It doesn't mean that there's one here. So this 2 still only tells us about that and nothing else. Can we? If we make both of these empty, does that break something? Then we would have this and that and that, and 2 of them. 1. Okay, I was really hoping that would break something, and then I could make progress. I think these 3 tiles are going to be empty. Okay, I was wrong. Yeah, I have absolutely no idea how to progress on this puzzle, so I'm going to leave it there. We did get a little further today, but that might be my last Tametsi stream, because I think it's just a little bit too hard for Twitch now. So next time I feel like playing Minesweeper type games, I will probably do hex cells. So don't worry, there'll be more content like this in the future. But yes, I have solved all the puzzles before, and I have solved them all blue. The achievements for this game actually don't track whether you solve them without guessing. The achievements only track whether you solve them at all. But where is it? Yeah. Complete all 100 puzzles from the main set, just here. You'll just have to take my word for it that I did complete that. I did get them all blue. And I've even completed some of the bonus ones, like it says bonus circuit puzzles and bonus lattice puzzles. Which these are the bonus lattice puzzles. They're some of the easier ones, but some of the other bonus puzzles, like these, I have absolutely no idea how to solve them. LT Bago says, thank for melt brain much puddle now. No problem, T Bago. Don't worry. Next time I stream, I was going to say next time I stream it will be less melt, but actually next stream will probably be Lingo 2. So there might in fact still be melt, come to think of it. LT Bagger, thank you for choosing the raid.
Undreamed _shelf Nez friend, pushing for affiliate.
Undreamed _shelf Nez friend, pushing for affiliate. Well, if they are a friend of Nespa, they are probably a good person. Let's have a quick look at Undreamed _shelf. First of all, let's check that they're actually streaming. Which they are. LT Bago, they have 166 followers already. I feel like they probably could be affiliate if they wanted to. But we shall raid them nonetheless. Thank you for your request, T-Bago. Let's dupe the dupe. And do the stuff. Thank you to everybody for watching. Thank you, essentially, Amber, for the raid. Thank you to everybody who redeemed your flower of the day. If you haven't redeemed a flower yet, you have a couple of minutes to redeem it before we do the raid. If you wouldn't all mind sticking around for that, show some love to Undreamed Shelf. Maybe lurk in their stream for a little bit after we raid in. Because as T-Bago says, they need more viewers for affiliate, and it's always good when people get affiliate because then they get to have emotes and all that other goodness. I'm not going to be streaming tomorrow. I'm going to be with parents tomorrow. However, it is a bank holiday weekend in the UK here, so I will definitely give you at least 2 streams this week, and hopefully 3, because I will be able to do one on Monday probably. Sunday is probably going to be Lingo 2. I intend to drop back into Lingo at the start of the stream because we did find that area with the new colour of puzzle. However, I'm getting the feeling we are going to get stuck in Lingo, and if we get stuck in Lingo, I'm going to start Lingo 2. Don't know yet what the Monday stream will be, if there is one. I'm not sure. I was feeling animal well last time, but we could go back to it. Otherwise, I might find something new to start. Matcha Catcher says, bye and have a great rest of your day. Thank you, Matcha. There's not much left of my day, but I will certainly try and have a good weekend. Alex says, thank you for the stream. Thank you for being here, best Alex. And let's get that raid started. Let me consult my spreadsheet of raids where I'm a nerd and keep track of everyone we raided. I don't think we've gone to Undreamed Shelf before. No, we have not. So there we go. let's get that raid started. There we go. If you would like to put some emotes in chat when we go in, please do. Here is a message for you to use. If you are subscribed. Hello Verdsky, nice to see you. Verdsky, we are just about to raid out, as you see. Verdsky, if you would like to redeem your flower, you have a few seconds to do so, but it is good to see you. There's the message to copy if you were a subscriber. If you're not a subscriber, use any emotes you like. Use emotes, your own emotes, emotes of someone you're sub to. Use Verdsky emotes if you're Verdsky, because Verdsky is awesome. But otherwise, here are some dancing dinosaurs for you to use. Thank you, Verdsky, for redeeming your flower of the day and a drink water. Hope to see you all on Sunday, and until then, thank you very much for watching, and bye for now.